will be trying to continue their unbeaten run following 5 draws and 7 wins since their last loss in the StarTimes Uganda Premier League, and that loss came against the coach that they will be facing today, that is Hussein Balangu, who was in charge of Blacks Power the last time Maroons lost a game at home. But it is Maroons Football Club hosting NEC Football Club. NEC have been probably putting up a performance very similar to what Maroons did last season after being promoted from the big league, finishing in a positive position. This time round, NEC Football Club have put up some good performances this season, but they come into this game following a surprise, probably a surprise loss against Gaddafi Football Club at home at the MTN Omondi Stadium in Logogo. On the other side, Maroons Football Club did manage to get a win over Chitara, and that game was definitely something you couldn't miss out on because it was a ferocious game. But today, it is kickoff at exactly 4 p.m. where Mohamed Senfuma's side will be looking forward to closing the gap between NEC Football Club and Maroons, because these two teams are separated by just 1 point. And it is great to be joined on set by Gordon Bule and Tendo Nikta Musoke. And what a way to introduce or probably continue match day 7 following yesterday's brilliant results. Bright Stars getting their first win this season, and of course the Kasasiro Boys getting their first win this season against a familiar foe, that is Vipers Sports Club. Gentlemen, match day 7 couldn't have been any lit following yesterday's results. I mean, KCC are getting a win over Vipers. Bule, your thoughts on that result before we get to the big game today?
Yeah, it was a magnificent result. KCC winning versus Vipers, but I hinted about it when they got that draw versus Arahil away. It was vital for them at least to go on an upward trend and ensuring that they get that draw really ease the pressures in their camp. Going into the next game versus Vipers, they just had to produce something. But I credit the coach Jackson Nagera for doing the best, plus the technical staff, plus the players too, because this can be a turn around moment for them. This can be a transformational moment for them. And with news incoming that they can bring in a new coach, what a way for him to start a new tenure. But getting that vital result is good. So Tito Bright Stars, also a good result after many games not winning. Maybe the start they had in the last season is a bit poor compared to this start, but still getting that first win is vital for them. Today is a big day for Maroons versus NEC. We just wait and see what both coaches will be having for each other.
Tendo, your thoughts so far on match day 7, and of course news coming in that there might be a new coach at the helm for the Kasasiro Boys. Probably might be Abdallah Mawiru coming in.
Well, I just pray that he can have a good start, because it has set the tone dangerously for him. It was easier getting into a team that has not won any game and only has a draw. But after that gigantic win, of course, notwithstanding the fact that to me it was a freak result, one of those results you don't believe until the last moment. I still thought if the game would be played probably until the next day, still Vipers wouldn't find a way. They were so haphazard. I've never seen a disjointed Vipers team like it was yesterday. They didn't do anything right. They didn't have any formation to contend with, apart from the consolation goal, which came very late. That was the vintage Vipers you would see. But overall, they played so poorly and they let KCC have the show. But it is normally what happens when those derbies come and one team is very poor. And we always talk about that in our circles. In a derby, the team with a bad run gets the result. That is normally how things come. And for KCC, it would never get any worse than that. 5 losses. I think the last time they had a bad run was in 1995. When they eventually gave Paul Sully the job, the legend Paul Sully. They had a very, very bad run, and they ended up actually being 9th in the league. That is the worst time. This is the second worst moment. Even if they go on, because we had thoughts. I was with Coach Sam Simba during the Villa game, and he was like, they can get up and win against Vipers, because that is all they have to do. If they don't do that, then the whole club is going to be in a mess, including the CEO and the directors. And it was really written in the skies that they could win that game. First of all, everything was in their favor. Vipers had a lot of distractions. because since the league started, they were not playing very well.
Yes.
They haven't played very well, and I don't know whether they see it, but they haven't played very well. And the lineup keeps changing. They don't know who is going to play when and where. And they rested Anukani, who could have actually helped them in the middle.
Right.
There was no midfield at all. Sentamu was not playing in his perfect position. He was always moving in and out. Milton Kalisa was conspicuously absent all time. Everything was haywire for them. So KCC really did what they had to do,
right.
Got the goals. Of course, even the second goal was a little contentious. I think they got the help of the assistant referee there. I'm not saying that it was intentional, but there was no way he could see the ball from that angle.
Right.
Especially when the dive of the goalkeeper was behind
Yeah.
him. The goalkeeper was between the ball and him. There's no way he could have seen that. And the referee's decision would have been the fair one. But that result was written in the skies. There are those decisions that will always come up.
Well, moving forward in today's game, of course, Maroons is going to be hosting NEC Football Club, and we do know exactly what Maroons produces when they're playing at home. They've gone so many matches unbeaten, calling it probably a fortress this season, following last season as well. For Mohamed Senfuma, he's going to be facing a coach that last season probably got a result against Maroons at home with Black's power, which not many people saw that coming, Bule, but this is obviously a different team in NEC Football Club, and Maroons is looking like they're having probably a steady season so far. How is the game going to go for you?
First of all, talking about Mohamed Senfuma, he's a great coach. This season, he's still up there among one of the best coaches, but he's going to be versing the coach, the latter, who has been the coach of the month nominee, that is Hussein Balangu. He has been doing well for NEC FC, and that is why he's on that list. The results that he has got for NEC FC have been vital. Bar that loss versus Gaddafi, 3-0, it's been good for them because they are new debutants in this StarTimes Premier League. And then coming forward to Mohamed Senfuma, he has that mentality to keep on going. At the end of the last season, I was asking myself, how is Mohamed Senfuma going to keep up with this momentum? But with the start of the season, you just know that he's up to something because he has managed to keep a hold of most of the players in the Maroons setup, and also bringing in some new names like Jackson Nunda and also Hannington Sewalunyo coming back, and then keeping the likes of Fred Amaku, Baiga, who are a cog in the Maroons side. For today's game, maybe mentally wise, they can have the upper hand as Maroons because they went to Chitara and got the vital win. And in that game, they had two stand-up players. That was Hannington Sewalunyo, who saved a penalty kick. And then that was Fred Amaku, who is part of the national team forward right now. That's the Uganda Cranes. He is on form, also player of the month nominee, such a good, stellar player, and is in such a great moment. And then looking to a NEC FC side, they have some great players. That is Komoro Thomio, who is also the nominee of the player of the month. He has had some good run, also scored a brace versus KCFC. And some collective players like Alan Mugalu. It's going to be a great game, which can be won in the midfield, I believe. Because when you look at the way Maroons FC and Mohamed Senfuma deploy their midfield, they're always robust, full of energy. And the NEC FC, too, they have robust players. That is Tembo Ibrahim, Alan Mugalu, also Chimero usually is drafted in the center midfield. We just wait and see how both coaches are going to come up tactically. The only difference is that Mohamed Senfuma is a transformational coach. He can really get the best out of the player, but making him the best for the future. And for Hussein Balangu, I can say he's a points coach. He coaches to get those points at that moment. Maybe that can be the deciding factor today. The players for Maroons can understand the identity of the team. NEC FC, they are new debutants, but still they have the energy to have a go at Maroons FC. It's going to be a good one today.
Before we even get to the details of what exactly might be happening on the pitch, Tendo, for Maroons Football Club, they have made Luzira Prison's ground a fortress. They're staying unbeaten, 5 wins and 7 draws since their last loss. What do you think is the reason behind that?
Well, it's really a fortress. Luzira Prison's grounds is not an easy ground to get points from, even from when we were growing up, when Maroons was still in the first division and then later got promoted to the Super League. There was never a time you would see a Maroons team beaten, and every time it got beaten, probably there was always something to question. But that is not a statement you can give to Hussein Balangu. He goes there and gets results. If you remember, even the season where he brought Arua Hill, they had to play a lot of bad tactics, including denying his team a chance to enter and have a warm-up when he was coaching Arua Hill, because he's one guy who somehow gets the results there. And that is going to be the element that he can bank on with his next side. And of course, Maroons has always been seen as an inferior side. That is the mistake teams make when they go to visit Maroons. They always scrap out results. If you remember, the game that Vipers actually beat them, courtesy of that goal that was contentious, Moses Waiso and Kasirie, Davis Kasirie, you think that you need to do an extra kind of game to handle them. One, because their ground is a little different from the grounds many people use. It's a good grass pitch, but it has some few variations, especially if you don't know. There is a way they cut their grass. It's not level all the way. So you will not play free-flowing football the way they do it. And when it rains, it is their advantage mostly. That is why most of the time they get the late levelers, even when a team is stronger than them. You see against URA, against Sports Club Villa, against Vipers last season, against Express at the death. They always get them. Why? Because they know how to maneuver the pitch. So if you have to beat Maroons, first of all, you need to win the toss. But when you win the toss, you should know the side you have to start with. I don't know whether people have noticed it, so I will not give out so many details about that, but that is something that they pride themselves in. And like Bule said, the midfield there is where the science is. How you play in the middle is what determines how you get the result. And it will not be surprising for Hussein Barangu to play many midfielders because he has been there and he knows. You saw what he did when he took Black's power there. Somehow he knows how. I don't know how he gets the notes, but he has that lucky charm at Luzira Prison's ground.
I mean, Bule, the fact that today might be a midfield battle, and Tendo has spoken about the variations of the pitch, having some places where they could have an advantage and them probably putting up a tactic that there is a possibility of the grass being cut in some parts of the pitch not being level. Is that something that some teams are known for, not just in Uganda, but probably outside Uganda?
That is something that needs to get used to. Maybe visiting teams. Maybe if you're not sure about the surface of the pitch, you try to find a way to make it work for you, because even the hosting team can be playing on the same pitch, however much you're not used to the pitch. But regardless, going into a match, you must get to acclimatize to such situations. Maybe have a pre-training session before the game, one day before the game, in a similar stadium. That can do some magic for you. At least get to understand the chemistry of the pitch. But going onto Maroons Football Club pitch, I believe some of the players in the NEC FC setup have a feel of what the Maroons grounds really is made of, and they should be able to handle whatever is coming their way. And with the coach at the helm, Hussein Balangu, they can conjure up something together with Dudu Bosco, together with Bastu Semuyava. They have been together, they have been in Kampala football for quite some time, so they understand every chemistry. And it's a game which is going to be won on the pitch, both sides.
You as a goalkeeper, Bule, when you get to the pitch and you find those places where it's a bit bumpy as a goalkeeper, and sometimes it might give you a challenge whenever the ball is coming your way and there's probably a ferocious shot and maybe the ball is has bounced right before you. Does that affect your game going through the 90 minutes?
What can help you is having an earlier scouting of the pitch, or go through the pitch, scan it, where are the bumps, how is it made of as a pitch. Maybe 2 hours before the game, these players come in earlier the pitch, then they scout, they do the scanning to ensure that they get to know and get the feel of the pitch. That can do some wonders for them, getting ready for the game. Otherwise, any moment that is happening in a game, it's just happening in a blur. Some moments you can't control them, a shot coming in and it's bumpy. But when you've really studied the pitch and understood everything, you just know that if it bumps here, I'll make this dive. If it goes this direction, I'll do this. As a player, you must get acclimatized to such situations when a game is about to start. And they should be ready either side, either NEC or even Maroons FC, because even Maroons FC sometimes face the similar problems.
And
Yeah, it did happen. Running Ron Sewarunya against Wakiso Giants.
Yeah.
And he had been there previously before he went to URA. But when he came back, the science had changed and it really skinned him.
But he has been having some good performances of recent.
Yeah, he does, because I think after that he
got
eventually
used to it.
realizes where
He was feeling the boots of Simon Kamali, and the pressure was a bit much. And right now he has steadied. He got man of the match versus URA, and then he got a clean sheet versus Chitara. My only problem is that at this time last season they had amassed so many clean sheets. Right now, in the last 4 games, they have 1 clean sheet. It's a big worry for Mohamed Senfuma. The backline and the goalkeeper, they need to do their homework pretty well versus NEC FC, which is going to be a stubborn team.
Tendo, looking back at that last game Maroons lost at home, all the goals were scored in the first half.
Yeah.
What picture does that give you?
Well, I think they just got caught sleeping by Bull. Sometimes some teams come and really overshadow you. The same thing that we were talking about between Vipers and KCC. I tried to analyze the game. I saw it again last night to exactly have a forensic judgment of the result. And I was in awe at what happened. So that is exactly what happened when Chitata was scoring those goals. There are some times when you expect a certain kind of game and a team brings a different kind of game and you get caught sleeping. But again, Maroons have not been good travelers. If you remember, apart from the game against KCC, they have always suffered away from home. Much as they have that form at home, away from home, they are not very good travelers. So this win against Chitara could have actually buoyed them. Between Chitara and KCC win, every other result away was a little disastrous. So you think that they should pride themselves in their home form, not even looking at the Chitara game, because Chitara game can actually be a cut in the pigeons, thrown among the pigeons, because it could develop complacency for them. And it has one key aspect. When you look at Freda Maku and how he has been finally called and given a chance to be at the national team, and you remember what happened in that Chitara game where we all thought Nyakojo's time had come and he got injured. If Freda Maku was in that game and thinking about what could happen, he might not come as the Freda Maku of that game because they are always going to be traveling very soon. It could be tomorrow. So I don't know whether mentally he's going to be prepared for this game. It can happen.
It should be, because it's going to be vying to start for the Uganda Cranes. Any player, however much you're going to play tomorrow, you can produce for the club.
Yeah, but you see emotionally, when you see what happened to Nyakojo and how he was remonstrating after that injury, he was always thinking about the national team. Yes. So it is a very big thing and it can affect you. Same way, facing a side that lost at home against Gaddafi. So Gaddafi might come a little, NEC might come a little harder and complicated, and a player would think, it can happen sometimes. And when you follow football, you realize before the international break and after the international break, the results and the performance of players is not the same.
Yeah, all right. We're going to be taking a very short break here from the StarTimes Uganda Premier League Match Day 7 between Maroons Football Club and NEC Football Club. When we return, we shall be discussing more on the lineups and what exactly these two coaches have in store for this. It is Maroons Football Club hosting NEC at the Lozira Prisons ground. We shall be back for more. Club versus NEC Football Club. Kickoff is in about 30 minutes time, and we shall be waiting to see what exactly is going to be happening in that very exciting encounter. But we were discussing what exactly Freda Maku brings to the Maroon side, and him getting a call-up in the Uganda Cranes national team setup that will be taking part in the 2026 FIFA World Cup qualifiers just in a couple of days. What a season he's having so far, and my question would be, why has it taken so long for Freda Maku to probably get his chance in the national team, Bule?
So long we can say, but still with persistence and hard work, he has achieved that feat. Even in the last StarTimes Uganda Premier League season, we were asking ourselves, why isn't Freda Maku being selected? But maybe some coaches differ in what they want in a player, in the attributes they look for in a player. And Freda Maku, he has gotten his spotlight with the incoming of Coach Paul Put. And then Coach Sam Simba being the assistant. And that vital goal, I believe that he scored versus Chitara, really cemented his say that I must be there. which really helped him. But with perseverance, anyone can achieve any feat, and that is what Fred Amaku is getting right now. The same applies to Dennis Omedi. Even Dennis Omedi in the last season, he wasn't getting the nod, but right now you see that that shift in power. Fred Amaku, Dennis Omedi, and other attackers. So it's good for him as a player, only for him to control that euphoria and jubilation, and then deliver on the pitch. Otherwise, if you overtake in your mind that now I'm a Uganda Queen star, then you don't deliver on the pitch for club and country, it will deter you from reaching your destination. Yeah. But for starters, it's a good thing for him. Just focus on this game versus NEC FC. Whatever comes out of it, it will be for your own good. You score a goal, get an assist, it will be adding you some momentum going forward. Yeah. And then shift your attention to the next few games. That is Guinea and then Somalia. If you're given a chance to put on that jersey and then to represent on the pitch, you do what you can do as a player, yeah. which I believe he has done through his homework, right. and is ready for this chance, because he has been looking forward to it. He has been working for it, and I wish him the best.
Yes, yeah. we do wish him the best. Tendo, this is a player that scored a couple of goals last season, and many people were asking questions as to why he was not been given that chance. One of the top scorers in the UPL last season. He comes into this season, is continuing with the form for Maroons. Why now and not before?
Well, first of all, the three things that Bole talked about are very important in a footballer's life.
Yes.
Get called to the national team, get lucky to put on the jersey, and perform in the jersey. Now, footballers have those dreams, but to some, it is just to get called. After they have gotten called, they have won the World Cup already. Then yes. To others,
yes.
Even after getting called, probably if you are called many times, let me get an opportunity to be on the starting team, either 11 or as a substitute. And if it happens, still they can get complacent. Then when you finally get a cup, because getting a cup is when you actually play,
right?
The onus is upon you now to perform. And that is where the whole difference comes. It's a very different ball game. Playing in the national team, right. And performing. Yes. So many players have gotten a chance to play. Bule can tell you. And you would even fear to ever play football, looking at a player you thought was so good, freaking out, and you are like, if Bule has freaked out, I'm sorry to use his name, what will I ever do? So that thing can shatter so many players. Yes. To come and perform is a dream that many players cannot achieve.
Yeah, we're currently getting pictures from the Luzira Prisons ground. The Maroons Football Club players are currently warming up, the likes of Jackson Nunda, who might be starting today. Fred Amaku there on your screens having a discussion about him. Darius Ojoku, who did get that equalizer the last time they were at home against URA. Etendo,
now, for Amaku, I think he has to be proud about FUFA TV and the advent of TV. Right. Because everybody hears about football, especially those who don't watch games, they hear about goals being scored. It is only TV that differentiates the nature of the goals being scored. If you have not watched a game and you hear Shaban scored twice, you would think they were breathtaking goals. But it was only the first goal that was breathtaking.
Yes.
The second was different. So that statistic will always remain because a goal is a goal. So you have to look at what TV has brought. Then you see the Amaku back heel against side. Then you see the Scorcher against Chitara and all that, the variations in play, how he plays, even those that don't score, how they play, the contribution they bring to the team. And that is what has now defined the way players are perceived. Now, those days of people hearing a person on form having 10 goals, maybe 3 are tap-ins and 7 are penalties. You don't know how they win penalties. He doesn't even win them. He just scores them. And you are like, oyo bamuyite. You know, it is now out of the way. And when you sit here and analyze, Bule will tell you, you cannot just sit and say Maroons is going to win 3-0. You really need to have a lot of intake into what could happen and what couldn't happen. It is not the same when you are just a fan. That is why fans can actually give the most awkward predictions. And that's why even betting beats them flat out. Because for them, it's about what they want, what they would want to happen, not what they think can happen or cannot happen. So that is what Fred Amaku now gets. And probably, if he's lucky, because it's one thing being called, and another getting the opportunity to start, because the formation and the opponent, the nature of opponents determines who starts eventually.
Yes.
And for Medi, it's a dream come true. At an early life in his career, and he gets a call. He has played for Namutima, a few of them, and he has now that feel. Amaku could be a new person in the side. His adversary today, Cromwell Rothomio, got that opportunity. Yes. And you all know what has happened. He could come back and reignite his career at NEC and again get a call-up. He exactly now knows how to approach it. So these teams have a similarity. They all have a good goalkeeper who is left-footed, can use the ball very well. Hannington Sewalunyo for Maroons, and then Samson Kiria for NEC.
Yes.
And then they all have that Roberts striker from West Nile, Cromwell Rothomio and Fred Amaku. So right. They have now to look at who plays around them. And I think it is the reason why you would see Jackson Nunda coming into the picture, because today's game is going to be about the midfield. We all know Mbalangu packs the midfield. Because he's a student of the 3-5-2 formation. Right. In his games, he will always have like 5 midfielders. Yes. Some of them given chance to go forward. So for Maroons, the 3 that they have been having sometimes dominate games. We all know it yes. When we have games, but they might be overpowered this time. And you think that they're going now to reverse and also try to increase numbers and add in a software man in Jackson Nunda, who you think on a good day can try to make the numbers out by dribbling a few others, making incisive passes and all that. So you think that these coaches are thinkers. Semfuma and Hussein Balangu are thinkers. So you think that we are going to see a game that is actually very tactical. Right. Not only technical, but very tactical in the way they approach it. And already Maroons showed you how they managed Dennis Omedi by having Kabona coming to mark him. Yes. You get it? Yes. So these are coaches that really think. And these are teams that play on instructions that are tactical, not just playing up with their sheer talent. Right. So how the teams understand the tactics and use them all throughout, and how they can vary in them, because you could actually have the same tactic and then the coach has an antidote to it. How you swiftly switch, that is what failed in the other game between KCC and Vipers. They kept with the same formation and they had been out tactically thought. And it went on until, even if they had played for a full day, there was no way Vipers would come back, because you look at the substitutions they made. So this is a lesson. If those coaches were looking at that game, there is that game where you are tactically out-thought. What do you do now? Where is the ingenuity? Who is the X-factor player? And that is probably why they have Jackson Nunda today. Because already, NEC have Alan Mugalu. We saw what he used to do in Arua. So it's going to be a tactical battle, in my opinion.
Speaking of the return of these 2 players, Alan Mugalu, Jackson Nunda in particular coming in and probably trying to revitalize his career, being out for quite some time. How important is it going to be for this game, not just for this big match, but for Maroons Sport Club going into the season? Bule?
The midfield understanding will be crucial to Jackson Nunda getting in properly for Maroons FC. They had Brian Nkubi last season. Things didn't work out for him. Even though he had some good players behind him, that is Orombi, Okot, even Etrude came in later, who would really help him to ease the pressure on going forward. Right now, Jackson Nunda, he has that help, because he has Okot, he has Orombi, he has Ndihawe. Those are all good players.
And probably Etrude.
Yes, Etrude. Those are good players. But he must really believe in himself. The Jackson Nunda that we saw for KCFC, he had that zeal to play his game, because Coach Mike Muti was giving him all the freedom. He's not a robust player. He's not full of energy, but he basically uses his brain to dictate play. That is what he must be used today, because he's going to face robust players like Tembo Ibrahim, who can chase him all the way, up and down, up and down. What is he going to do? Sometimes you just need to die a little, work a bit harder so that you deliver. If he doesn't do it as Jackson Nunda, then his game will be silent, as is always known. If Jackson Nunda doesn't get one moment or 2 moments of brilliance in a game, every game is always a silent game for him. But if he stands out and then gets one stellar pass, gets the assist, everyone says, Jackson Nunda is a good player. So he just needs 2 or 3 moments in this game. Not to dictate play like every time, but he's a silent player. But the moment he gets that chance to make the play go in Maroons' way, it will be good for them. But with the help of the midfield, that is central defensive midfielders, who must deliver the balls to him. basically this can be a great game for him because it is at home, and then he's going to be playing against fellow players that he has grown accustomed to in the StarTimes Premier League. So he needs to deliver today.
Yeah, we are getting the pictures of NEC Football Club, the players currently warming up, the likes of Marvin Kavuma, Gavin Mobutu. You could see there Kiza Angelo as well in the mix. Tendo, talking about NEC Football Club, you've spoken about the 3-5-2 formation that Hussein Balangu has decided to stick with, and he's known for playing. But on the other side, it is a bit detrimental to natural wingers, particularly if you're trying to move forward. How is he going to deal with such pacey players that Maroons has, the likes of Darius Ojoko on one side?
Yeah, I think it's still an antidote. Yeah. Because when 3-5-2 formation came, it came because Mike Mutebi observed that most of the teams were playing with natural wingers. Yeah. They were playing a basic 4-4-2, and that had been the game for Ugandan football. All through, every team had a solid full-backs who could either go and help the wingers or could play on their own and give the wingers freedom. Yes. It was the same for all teams, all the good teams. KCC, they always had Augustine Barije and the likes of Sam Simbwa or Ahmed Senyange. Kofi had Obadia Semakula and Ibrahim Buembo, and the full-backs were solid. You would never see Obadia Semakula coming to defend Obuembo. That was the same thing with Sports Club Villa. They had Sula Kato out there and Robert Semakula or Idi Batambuze. You would never see them come to defend. But the difference was Sports Club Villa had Paul Asule, who could come actually and attack, and also they had Adam Semugabi there. So that had been the variation. So Mike Mutebi outthought them and put a 3-5-2 formation that actually narrowed the pitch. You let the wingers play there, but don't let them cross to the players. So when you have three defenders, that means you have two of them man-marking the two strikers in the 4-4-2 formation. Then one of them sweeping in case that became the libero. In case there was an altercation and the ball fell, the easiest person to pick it was their libero. And now that libero gave it to a deep-lying playmaker. The deep-lying playmaker would either dribble or pass a long one to the two forwards in your formation, or actually play with the extra three in the middle. Right. So that is how he did it. And I think if Maroons, their strong point is there in the wings, Darius Ojoko and all that, let them play there. But they should not cross. That is what we saw them actually applying on Chitara. Yeah. Let Dennis Obedi play from there. Let him not cross or even come to pick the crosses. You saw Ahewa not crossing any ball, but he always got the balls. But you cannot cross, and when you are seeing so many people there and you're not seeing your own players, you get the point. Yeah. So it could actually be worked against them. The challenge now for Balangu is these are coaches who applied it themselves. So they can have an antidote. And that is exactly where they bring in Jackson Nunda. Why? NEC has Alan Mugalu, who has the ball always. To track Alan Mugalu, you need to sacrifice one midfielder to win that ball. It's like you're playing a rondo, and the rondo is not about taking the ball, but touching it away. Yes. Now, when you touch it away to Jackson Nunda, now Alan Mugalu will have to chase, and you know it's not one of his big skills. So Tembo, if he had tracked Jackson Nunda, then there would be an Abel Trude. And you would be surprised today there might not be Ndihabwe, who is not very mobile, and there might not be Orombi, who is foul happy, because Orombi could foul Alan Mugalu so many times that maybe he can get sent off. So this is a tactical variation that coaches have to do, and that is why strength in depth is very important. Yes. Unfortunately for Maroons, most of their players who can fit in are out injured, like Tusubira, and Mpaji is just coming back from injury. He's not the Mpaji we saw last season. So the stronger team with depth could actually take the day if they keep it locked. Now the challenge is the backline Balangu has is always prone to mistakes, Achire and the like. Yes. If they limit those mistakes and keep the game within them, they have the chance to bring in Marvin Kavuma and the likes. All the players you read are star players, but they could be on the bench. When you look at the warm-up kit and the color, you can actually detect who is about to start or not. Unless it's a mind game like what we saw yesterday, you can get a hint, because that sleeveless green is for the substitutes. as far as I have followed NEC. So Marvin Kavuma could be on the bench to come in later on. So you think that they have the strength in depth.
Right.
Yeah.
Tendo is giving us a glimpse of who might be starting, and now the viewers are wondering who is starting today. But they'll be getting the lineups.
When you get used to football, you know how to detect things.
But they'll be getting the lineups in
even the nature of the warm-up for the starting team and the substitutes, you can see it. And the coach must be so astute to actually beat an analyst to that. The way we saw yesterday.
It's something that will be shown on.
I saw it
on
even Mike
yes.
Mutebi did it against a team from Congo, I think. He put a lineup that had Magambo in the forward line and Alano Kelo in the defense and all that.
This is actually the lineup for Maroons Football Club. Hannington Sebalunyi as the goalkeeper, Patrick Bayiga, Edward Kabona, Frederick Nicholas Chigozi, Jacob Okao, Felix Okot, Fred Amaku, Jackson Nunda, Abel Etrude, Baden Mujahid, and Darius Ojok Bule. That is the lineup. A start for Jackson Nunda today. He was very vital in Mike Mutebi's 3-5-2 at KCC. He faces a similar formation today. Talk about the lineup.
Good thing for Jackson Nunda is going to have two central defensive midfielders. One helping him go forward, that is Abel Trude, and then one will be the main seater, that is Felix Okot. With Jackson Nunda having to mark out that offensive midfield area, it will be good for him. But also Abel Trude, he has that energy to come back and defend and then go forward, maybe architect some wizardry for the team in Maroons FC. And then in the back line, Patrick Bayiga, he must be astute. Versus URA, he made a mistake, costly one, where they considered a goal. It was from a cross, so he must make his work today. And then Edward Kabona will be the right back, Frederick Nicholas Chigozi in the left back, and up front, Darius Ojok, Baden Mujahid on the right, then the man Fred Amaku. They look at Ojok and then Baden Mujahid to be marauding those left and right wings. They must be good on the ball. They must be good on 1v1s. This can be helpful to Maroons FC, get those services to Fred Amaku. But when you look at it, it's a great backline. Jacob Okau, he was vital for them versus URA. He has had that ability to partner with Patrick Bayiga. So today, that can be a great game for him too in the back line.
Yes, that will be a Maroons Football Club. That is the lineup for today. Let's have a look at the lineups for NEC Football Club, and we can get a picture as to what the team is today. Samson Chiri as the goalkeeper and the captain. Tabani Kelvin comes into the lineup today. Ibrahim Taimo, Suleiman Sesasi, Cromwell Rothromio with 3 goals this season. Alan Mogolu comes in back into the lineup. Shamiri Chimwero, Joseph Data, John Paul Achire, Rashid Okocha, and Enoch Sebagala comes into the lineup. Tendo, a quick one, your thoughts on that lineup?
Yeah, again, something that could be bordering on 4-3-3, but also could be 3-5-2. Why? Because we know Joseph Data to be a full-back who can actually play as a wing-back, same way with Rashid Okocha. So those two could actually alternate and go back and play back 5, or come back and create a 5-man midfield. So the 3 people in the midfield are not going to be changing. So that is the alternation that he has. And then when you look at Kelvin Bani, Sulaiman Sesazi, and of course John Paul Achire, they will be at the back line. One of them on the left, that is Achire, and then Kelvin Bani on the right, and probably Sesazi playing the libero role. Now, that is where the challenge would be. I don't know whether he is so astute at that, especially in releasing long passes when they have to get people on the break, which we know Cromwell Rothomio to be adept at. But that is how it could set up. Then Alan Mugalu in the middle of the 3-man midfield, plus the other 2 players.
Chimwero, yes.
They might not sit very deep because it's only Chimwero who can sit very deep. So they could actually move and try to counter the likes of Jackson Nunda, because if they counter them, then Jackson Nunda will be irrelevant.
Right.
So I think it's a tactical thing, and you think that Cromwell can have ease there, because we know Kocha and Data are actually players who can even go and get some goals. So I think the wing play for Maroons would be countered by the same fullbacks who have been defending to dash forward to try and force them back. I think it's going to be very tactical.
Technical, tactical. I'm wondering what our friend Mr. Technical Tactical is wondering, he's hearing these words behind and he's saying,
Yeah,
no,
but
this is a game.
the reason it is because his assistant, Simon Peter Joke,
Yes.
is in the Maroons.
Maroons.
So I think it's the same thing.
I mean, the irony, the coincidence, the chances. But Bule, before we get to the pitch, maybe you can give us a prediction on this game.
Prediction, Maroons being at home have the biggest advantage. But also, NEC FC having lost 3-0 versus Gaddafi, they will want a quick reply. But how Maroons FC is going to really approach this game is going to be vital. Yeah. They need to make use of that 3-5-2 system from NEC. They must counter those spaces behind the right and left wing backs for NEC FC. That is Darius Ojo, that is Baden Mujahid. Try to make use of those spaces that usually your Kocha and Data leave whenever they are marauding up front. And so that can be a great thing for Maroons FC. Because Maroons at home, I give the wins to Maroon. Why not Maroons? They should win this game today.
Attendo?
Bule. I always don't want to be with Bule.
You can go with
No, I want to enjoy, to have some competition. So today he has caught me. You know, I'm a Prisons and Maroons boy.
So you want me to change?
No, it's okay. I'll see what to do. Because if I say Maroons is going to lose,
yes,
I'll have lost a lot of credibility
into
my mother, with whom we grew up in Luzira.
It will be treason.
And the number one fan of Maroons, Mr. Olijo, was our neighbor. We actually lived in his house. Even today when I go, I have a room there. So it's really sentimental for all the people in Luzira. But again, I played with Hussein Balangu, and I really appreciate what he has done following him in Somalia. Let me stay neutral like Bule was when the West Nile teams were. Let it be a draw.
All right.